Is it possible to find a fun project car at a junkyard with a budget of just $1,000? At a North American salvage auction, you absolutely can. Two brothers started their day with $1,000 cash in hand and began their search. The salvage yard covers several acres and is packed with all kinds of wrecked vehicles. And don't be fooled, even though these cars have been in serious accidents, they aren't necessarily cheap. The first car that caught their eye was a white BMW. The front-end damage seemed manageable, something they could fix without a massive investment. One of the brothers hopped inside, and to their surprise, the engine fired right up. He popped the hood and confirmed the engine bay hadn't taken a major hit in the crash. However, the price of the car was well over their budget, so they had to walk away. Next, they found a flood-damaged BMW for $525. It was a 2011 328i, missing a tire and with a damaged front fender. But because it was a flood car, they knew it was too risky and had to pass. Then they spotted a Mustang with a price tag of $7,600. Again, the price was the deal breaker. They also looked at an Audi A8 and a Mercedes S-Class, but they didn't seem too interested in either of those brands. After wandering around for a while, they found a BMW 7 Series. It had carbon fiber trim inside, which immediately caught their attention and made it hard to walk away. But once again, the price forced them to move on. This only strengthened their resolve to find a BMW. After checking out a few more cars, they finally found it, a BMW M5. For reasons they couldn't disclose, they didn't film the bidding process, but they won the car for just $600. They were thrilled to get this car for such a low price. It even had a 5-speed manual transmission. Based on the design, it appears to be a second-generation E34 BMW M5. The brothers also explained why it was so cheap. This M5 had an astonishing 400,000 miles on the odometer. But the most important thing right now was to see if the big heart under the hood would even start. That would determine their entire plan for the project. The first thing they did was give the car a quick wash. Then they pushed it into the workshop and put it up on the lift. While it was in the air, they looked up the price of some parts. A replacement exhaust system alone cost nearly 3 times what they paid for the entire car. It was clear this project was going to require a significant investment. They also noticed the fuel tank was leaking. A full inspection of the undercarriage didn't reveal any other major issues. The only real problem was a massive amount of grime caked around the transmission, but with 400,000 miles, that was to be expected. The engine bay was a similar story. Besides a missing belt, there were no other obvious problems. With a general idea of the car's condition, it was time to attempt the first start. They opened the hood to find the battery, but all they found was an empty tray. They thought it might be in the trunk, but a search only revealed the spare tire. Finally, after checking online, they learned the battery is located under the rear seat cushion. With the battery located, they hooked up a spare one they had ready. Immediately, they heard sounds from inside the car. Since they knew the fuel system was a problem, one of the guys tried to start it anyway, but the engine bay was silent. Clearly, there was an electrical issue. After some troubleshooting, they found a damaged wire connected to the starter. They quickly replaced it. With the wiring fixed, he tried again. This time, they heard the engine briefly try to turn over. They were making progress, but there was still a ways to go.
Next, they pulled the spark plugs, which had probably been sitting for who knows how many years. After swapping in a fresh set of plugs, he tried the key again, and incredibly, the engine fired up and ran. The two were ecstatic. As long as the engine runs, the $600 wasn't a waste. They immediately decided to take it for a spin to experience what this classic German sedan felt like on the road. The M5's driving experience was a huge surprise. Even with 400,000 miles on it, the engine felt like it was still in its prime. The throttle response was sharp and the shifts were smooth. After the test drive, it was time to get to work. The M5 was missing its front and rear bumpers, so after some searching, they managed to find a full M-style body kit with front and rear bumpers and side skirts. Since this kit wasn't made specifically for their car, they had to fabricate their own mounting brackets. For guys with their skills, this wasn't a big challenge. They quickly made the necessary brackets in the shop and successfully mounted the bumpers. As you can see, the body kit was a pretty good fit for the M5's dimensions. However, he wasn't a fan of the mesh grille on the bumper and planned to modify it later. With the bumpers sorted, it was time to replace the stock side skirts, which were now junk. Now that they were committed to the body kit, they took the parts into their makeshift paint booth. Judging by the sanding marks, these were likely used parts from another car. But with a good paint job, it wouldn't affect the final look. With coats of primer and color, the used parts were transformed before their eyes. While the paint was drying, they tackled the leaking fuel tank. They first had to find the source of the leak. Luckily, the problem wasn't the tank itself, but a cracked fuel hose. A simple hose replacement was all it took to fix the leak. Next, they could install the freshly painted bumpers and side skirts. Working together, they had the body kit mounted in no time. Then, they gave the entire car a thorough wash to prepare it for polishing. It's amazing how this decades-old car, after a simple cleanup, has been brought back to life. The classic design of this generation M5 still looks incredible and can easily hold its own against many modern cars. It's crazy to think a $600 car like this would be a highly desirable classic worth tens if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in other parts of the world. But the project was far from over. The leather in the interior was cracked and aging. To keep costs down, they decided to repair it themselves. They found a piece of used leather for just $17. With a plan in place, they removed the door panels, cut the leather to size, and sprayed adhesive on both the back of the leather and the panel itself. But here they made a questionable choice. They covered the original wood trim with adhesive as well. Everyone has their own taste, so we can't judge too much from behind the screen. Meanwhile, his bearded friend was busy swapping out the stock 4-spoke steering wheel for a 3-spoke wheel from a donor car. This was a definite upgrade, getting rid of the dated interior style. It improves both the feel and the look, making for a much better driving experience. With the interior work done, it was time for the final touches. During the test drive, they noticed the shifter would shake significantly at high speeds. His friend diagnosed it as a worn-out shifter bushing, so they had to replace it. The old bushing was clearly worn and deformed. The new bushing was the perfect fix. After installing it, he also put on a new shift knob, one of the few brand new parts on the entire car. With that, the shifter problem was solved.
The last thing to address was the wheels. The ones on the car were obviously aftermarket replacements. The original wheels had been sold off by the previous owner, but the brothers had already planned for this. They spent $100 on a set of 4 original BBS wheels, which would undoubtedly elevate the car's entire look. So what do you guys think of a budget build like this? Let us know in the comments.